Well, certainly, I don't know about Trish, but I have family at home, and that always presents a problem. Is Mommy going to come back? The answer to that is, of course, yes. But I think, yeah.
I'm willing to go to jail in China, and actually, if someone takes me to jail, there could be a good story in China jails.
One of the things I was concerned about all along was that the students were really ready to pose questions and grapple with issues in a well-informed way. And that's always hard to read. They had had the benefit of working with Maya Chadha and with Tina Lesher and with you, dealing with issues in contemporary China. But how much they're really internalizing that was very difficult to judge. Traveling in China can sometimes be a bit of a challenge, a bit of a problem, particularly when you trot out large, professional-looking cameras. And I was concerned about that as well, though we had done some careful preparatory work.
I would say I'm a student.
I don't know.
I would say.
I decided to lower the camera to get like a low-angle shot on the street and the people walking, and no, just with people. And when I lowered the camera, there was a little kid there that happened to be the same height as the camera was leveled to, so his face was right in the lens. And then before I knew it, everyone just gathered around, and they were all watching this kid being filmed. And then other parents would start shoving their kids in the circle, and the kids would try to run away. They shove them back in.
Yeah, it's the 3 stages of culture shock that anthropologists talk about. First stage is, I don't like anything. And the second stage is, gee, I like everything. And the third stage is you realize that places have good and bad aspects to them. I guess I was surprised because I didn't obviously see those stages.
I was concerned, for example, in the health piece, when it began as principally a question of why are the Chinese so thin, and why are they in such good health, and how come Americans can't behave like Chinese. It seems to me a rather superficial take on reality. It happily grew more complex.
Americans are often searching for a quick fix when it comes to staying lean and strong, but as many have discovered, there isn't always a quick solution. In China, they have a different attitude about such things. Over thousands of years, the Chinese have developed what you might call a common-sense diet and exercise. We found that the average Chinese person rises somewhere between 5 and 6 a.m. They might take a quick trip to the local market, go off for a morning run, or maybe practice a little Tai Chi, an ancient form of exercise. For some Chinese people, these activities are aimed at one thing: to energize the mind and body and get the two working in sync.
I do Qigong every morning. We believe that your life depends on your Qi in your body, and your Qi is moving in your body. You do Qigong is just to like give more energy to your Qi.
In China, most people travel by bicycle. Pedaling 20 miles is as common to the Chinese as driving 20 miles is to us. And bikes are more than just personal transportation. Many people haul supplies on them as well. But what about food? Here in America, we eat pretty much whatever we want. But in China, they do things a little differently. For the Chinese, diet has a philosophical base.
Like Chinese people, they eat meat a lot. There's like one soup, maybe 1, 2, 3 vegetable dishes, maybe 1 tofu dish, 1 or 2 meat dishes. And they eat everything according as well to the season. Like, for example, there's dog meat, where you eat in winter time, because it's very heating, it's very warming. In springtime, they eat snakes, which helps in Chinese understanding. It means you can detoxify the liver. Before the winter, they have this special thing, like they eat chicken, whole chicken, for 7 days. And they say this will help them to get enough vitality to overcome the winter period.
If you walk around in the big cities like Nanjing or Beijing, you'll see plenty of Western-eating establishments. 20 years ago, though, there were no McDonald's restaurants in China. This trend toward eating like Americans is relatively new. The question is, do the Chinese take all of this seriously? Well, that depends on who you ask.
I don't think I like it because it's too different from the Chinese food.
I hate pizza. Sorry, I hate pizza, but I think McDonald's is very good.
传统菜，当然传统菜了。
Mostly we eat traditional Chinese food.
We did see some overweight people in China, but not nearly as many as you see walking the streets here in the U.S. Why might the Chinese think Americans are overweight?
We see from TV and from news report, many Americans like to eat chocolate. Yeah.
Americans drink too much soda and not enough green tea.
The final part of this Chinese approach to health concerns medicine. We've all heard of massage therapy, acupuncture, and herbology, but do these ancient forms of healing really work? And would they work for us? This American woman was treated with herbs and acupuncture, and she had this to say.
They put these pads, Chinese medicine pads, but they gave me Chinese pills, 3 kinds. They were wonderful.
Some Westerners argue that traditional Chinese medicine, or TCM, is more like faith healing, with no basis or documentation from research. But the Chinese simply say TCM has been used effectively for over 2,000 years.
Chinese medicine is much safer.
But as China has opened its doors to the modern world, it has realized that Western medicine has some distinct advantages. The treatment of cancer is one example.
So they use the chemotherapy to try to attack the growth of the tumor, while they use Chinese medicine to keep the body healthy or strong.
As we left China, some of us wondered if we should consider opening up to the idea of what medicine in the traditional Chinese application, exercise, and diet would have to offer us.
The day in the life story, the way in which a typical student saw the world, that one seemed to emerge, I suppose not surprisingly, with the greatest spontaneity. The students reached out to one another, and they made some really fine connections, I think, at times. There was a terrific curiosity on both sides.
When the subject of university students in China is discussed, many of us recall the uprising at Tiananmen Square in 1989. But Tiananmen was just one incident. Most of the time, college students in China are focused on academic issues and their social life rather than politics. We talked with a number of students in both Beijing and Nanjing. We wanted to find out what they are concerned about as the new China evolves. David is a student at Nanjing Agricultural University, working on a degree in international business. He says he is drawn to traditional Chinese values as well as ideas from the West. We asked David about the job market for college graduates in China.
I will not be oppressed, because I'm optimistic about my future, and I want to maybe go into the business circle to do business, to be a businessman, and to practice, to become sophisticated about the trade with foreigners and with our town folks, with the country folks. Yeah, that's my future.
As optimistic as David may seem, he is also realistic about his goals.
If I get a good pay, good salary, and I will buy a villa. Oh, villa. Maybe that's too high a goal for me. I can't reach it. And I want to buy a car. I just want to stay in this city because it's big enough for me.
Also in Nanjing, we talked to a graduate student with the unlikely name Chaos. Chaos is finishing up her work at Nanjing College of Art. She shared her needs and desires as an artist about to enter the job market.
Just we could have enough money to survive ourselves, survive our life, and survive our art. Above all of this, we need freedom. So if you want to get the money from a company, you have to sell your freedom.
Gaining entry into a college or university in China is not easy. Prospective students must pass rigid entrance exams. If you fail such an exam, you may never be able to get a good job. But as David told us, there are other ways to achieve success.
In China, there is nepotism. Nepotism. Seriously speaking, if you can have a relative in some good services, you can get a good job. Whether, no matter you have higher education or not.
Even the most serious students in China don't spend all of their time on term papers and research. Again, like American students, they are serious about non-academic activities. For example, sports play a big role in the lives of Chinese young people. In fact, while at Nanjing College of Art, our William Paterson College group was challenged to a basketball game. As it turned out, the game was a perfect way to bond with our new friends. By the way, they beat us at our own game. The final score was Nanjing 30, William Paterson College 27. The students we met are also into movies, music, and other activities. And then there's dating. We want to know how it all works in China.
In China, the relationships between boys and girls is also changing quickly. For before, like 10 years ago, and the relationships between boys and girls were separated two parts. One is before marriage, another is after marriage. But now will be more complicated.
Some students take a cautious approach to dating.
We can study together, for example, to practice our spoken English, to see film together, to go dancing, to be my dancing partners. That's okay. But we must control our feeling or affection. You must do like this because I can think falling in love to each other too early is not good to both.
What about the future? What do the students we talked with hope to achieve? Chaos quoted a character from the movie Howard Zen to help make her point.
If the mother of the whole world come together, there will be no war anymore. So connecting the different nations will be many methods, like mothers, like love, like arts.
Finally, we were left with a wish for improved relations between East and West.
I sincerely hope more and more foreigners will come to our China to develop our friendship, to learn each other. We can learn each other much things, many things, many things from each other. We should understand each other better. And yeah, I hope America and China can be good friends forever. Yeah.
We went to do an interview with an import-export gentleman who owns an import-export business. We tried to explain to him that we were going to do an interview using a video, and he did not, even through an interpreter, he did not understand that.
In the case of the business industry commerce piece, the piece about how economics are conducted in China, I was very concerned that that the students didn't attend exclusively to the cities and to the obvious kind of commerce that they think of. Because China, of course, is very basically an agrarian society in which the countryside and agriculture is of profound importance.
It all began with Chinese leader Deng Xiaoping's open-door policy. Deng
Deng became leader of Communist China when Mao Zedong died in 1976. This open-door policy is still in the process of redefining the sleeping giant. The transition from a government-planned economy to one based on free market enterprise began in 1979. Because of this change, China is now viewed as an international competitor and possessing huge market potential. These reforms were encouraged by Western investment and technology and resulted in a higher standard of living for the people of China. Even with these changes, some people have not drastically changed their lifestyle. Sing Mi-shi has lived his whole life outside of Beijing in the village of Quanli-su growing rice. Due to the large population in China, the government still oversees how much food is produced. The open-door policy allows them to sell any surplus for profit. And much like a CEO of a corporation, Sing Mi-shi's main job is to manage the village affairs and make money. I consider myself an integral part to Chinese existence and a vital role in tomorrow. I have the same worthiness as the growing business and economic classes. Some people have left the countryside and moved to the city with dreams of making more money. This woman and her husband moved to Beijing 3 years ago after hearing they could earn more money working in a factory. Here they discovered that running a business of their own could gross even more. They now run this stand on a side street in Beijing selling mostly beer, cigarettes, and snack food. The stand also serves as their home for the next 5 years until they return to their children and family still in Sichuan province. I appreciate the government's open-door policy. It provided more freedom and opportunity. I thank the government. It was very hard to open a business before. Many Chinese are thankful of their new freedoms. The Chinese have often been credited with having strong family values. And with the westernization of the Chinese economy, the Chinese family structure is also changing. I left 2 children and a mother in Sichuan. I'm here in Beijing only to make money. I will be going back in a few years. A separation like this would not have occurred before the open-door policy's initiation. Critics of the open-door policy believe that the traditional family structure will be destroyed. Deng's declaration to get rich is glorious prompted foreign investment and led to the adoption of Western business practices. The open-door policy allowed the Chinese people to draw on the proven methods of Western economic development. Ms. Cho is a real estate saleswoman in Nanjing selling luxury apartments. This housing development is a joint enterprise with the Chinese government and various foreign investors. We sell to international businessmen from Hong Kong, Taiwan, and Southeast Asia. The foreigners buying the houses typically live here part-time. Ms. Cho selected this career because of its earning potential. She works 5 days a week, 7 hours a day. I don't think there is much difference between American and Chinese people. There are many similarities. No matter in China or the United States, people should look to make money and live a good life.
When they listen to the Chinese music, I believe most of their first time to enjoy the Chinese music. But when I look at the student in the face, when they listen to the music, everyone feels very exciting.
We had a group of our students who said they wanted to do a piece that touched in some way on Chinese culture and history. Well, the enormity of that subject is just almost impossible to describe.
It started out a little bit rocky at first, with my personal group, but I think I'm really optimistic about it because I think we're actually going to kick some butt really hard because, we were given a little bit more leeway.
The wall as a metaphor emerged in conversations with faculty and with the students. I do think that they were onto something of real value.
How can you condense thousands of years of Chinese history into a 3-minute piece? The answer is, you can't. But by focusing on an important structure or symbol, we thought we might be able to provide a sense of what makes China so foreign. A major reoccurring theme to our trip was walls. Everything in China seemed to be surrounded by them, from the tiny walls that surrounded people's homes to the Great Wall, which extends for 1,500 miles. We haven't quite figured out if the walls are meant to keep foreigners out or to keep the Chinese in. Historically, many groups have invaded China and taken its wealth. 1,000 years ago, it was the Mongols. The Great Wall was built to keep foreign armies from invading. Countless years and lives were spent to build this mighty structure. In fact, it was not great enough. It failed to keep the Mongols out. During the 19th century, no wall would have been strong enough to keep the British colonial empire from claiming China. Everyone seemed to take from China and not give back. A WPC faculty member, who is a native of China, says the Chinese feel they should build walls around their hearts so they don't get hurt by outsiders. Another peculiar thing about all of these walls is the Chinese tendency to build them up and tear them down. Perhaps this is symbolic of its relationship with the rest of the world. We may never know what the walls mean to the Chinese. We Americans like to believe China is an exotic, mysterious place. But perhaps the Chinese feel the same way about the West. We discovered that the Chinese are not so mysterious after all. They, like us, are just attempting to make their way in a complicated world where the global walls continue to come down and communication opens up.
This was a group of American students who encountered China in a highly active mode. They had to grapple with realities in that country. And as they internalized that experience more over the rest of their lives, I think, that very active engagement is of great importance.